Let's pray. Dear God, we ask very simply this morning that the words of my mouth and the meditations of our hearts might be acceptable in your sight. Amen. I think it was about 20 years ago now that I had a friend in Elmsdale, Nova Scotia, with whom I sailed on a number of trips, and with whom I shared a love for vehicles that were unsafe, unreliable, and unkempt. Now, Lenny Roach was a petty officer, second class, and he was a bosun. Now, I think Lenny enjoyed being a bosun, but I know he loved restoring cars and trucks to some passable form for those who wished a really good deal and were not nervous drivers, or for those who didn't have to be 100% certain that their vehicle would not leave them on the side of the road. Now, Lenny was a backyard mechanic, a mechanical wizard of last resort. Now, amongst his many vehicles for sale or repair was an old Corvette that he stored safely in my garage beside my 1972 Volkswagen Westphalia. Now, the 72 Westphalia was a wise purchase on my part. It only cost $500, and it was easily towed. Now, Lenny was my principal mechanical advisor and source of specialized tools, mostly mallets and mauls. Now, much of our time together was spent in my garage tinkering with the Westphalia, or in Lenny's garage, where I would survey his tools and make requests to borrow something. And I remember distinctly phoning Lenny one day. And when he heard my voice on the phone, he asked, "What can I do for you today?" And I was surprised. I was a little broken-hearted. Now, Lenny wasn't mean by any stretch. His greeting was without judgment. But I realized that most, if not all, of my encounters with Lenny were initiated because I wanted something. And that wasn't a good feeling. Nobody wants to be that kind of guy. Many years ago, I saw a T-shirt I thought was both funny and, of course, irreverent. "Jesus is coming. Look busy." Now, who wants to be this kind of Jesus? Who wants to be the kind of person that inspires the assumption that you're looking for something, that you expect more than what is being offered, that people you meet think that you expect them to shape up in some way? Jesus is coming. Look busy is not a word of greeting. Jesus is coming. Look busy is not an expression of hope. Jesus is coming. Look busy is not the anticipatory feeling or sense or cry of hope, peace, love, and joy that we will proclaim at Advent. Jesus, I'm sure, doesn't want to be that guy. Who can endure the day of his coming? And who can stand when he appears? For he is like a refiner's fire and like fuller's soap. He will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver, and he will purify the descendants of Levi and refine them like gold and silver, until they present offerings to the Lord in righteousness. Then the offering of Judah and Jerusalem will be pleasing to the Lord as in the days of old, and as in former years. Now this passage seems to support the sentiment expressed on the t-shirt. Jesus is coming, look busy. However, to whom is the admonition addressed? It is to the descendants of Levi. The prophet is calling the priests to prepare. And to prepare what? Or to prepare why? Until they present offerings to the Lord in righteousness. Then the offering of Judah and Jerusalem will be pleasing to the Lord as in the days of old, and as in former years. In the temple worship, offerings were the means of grace. The prophet is calling on the priestly class to adequately prepare so that they might be appropriate conduits to receive God's grace as in former days. The priests prepare so that the people might receive God's glorious gift. Zechariah's prophecy regarding his son John was this: "And you, child, will be called the prophet of the Most High. For you will go before the Lord to prepare his ways, to give knowledge of salvation to his people by the forgiveness of their sins. By the tender mercy of God, the dawn from on high will break upon us, to give light to those who sit in darkness and in the shadow of death, to guide our feet into the way of peace." To give light to those who sit in darkness. John was to prepare people to receive a gift of light and peace, a gift of God's grace. Christmas, we are told, is a season to give. And it has, for many, become stressful because of this. Advent is a season that we prepare because Christmas is coming. Advent is the season in which we begin to focus on everything we have to do to get ready for Christmas. And for some, this reflects the sentiment of the t-shirt. Jesus is coming, look busy. Now this is unfortunate. Let us not greet Jesus with, "What can I do for you?" Scripture describes the coming Messiah as a season to receive. Advent and Christmas are seasons in which we must take that time not only to consider what Jesus expects of us, but to consider the gifts that he brings for us. Now, like the priests of old, religious leaders may be fond of telling people to get ready for a day of judgment, but Scripture describes a day of peace. Scripture describes gifts for the people and a day of reckoning for the leadership if they've not adequately prepared their people to receive the grace of God. This Advent, take time to receive. Amidst the rush that this season has become, amidst the expectation that we place upon ourselves to give the perfect gift, let us pause to receive the perfect gift. The spiritual leadership team has provided Advent calendars to this end. They've also left Advent meditations in the chapel for this purpose. The Christian community team sponsors Healing Pathway, a means to slow down and receive the gift of grace. They also provide the means to receive communion in your home or in the home of someone you love. Joining in this ministry is a means to receive grace. It is a gift and a ministry to which we are all welcome. During the season of Advent, Christmas, and always, may we truly be found a people who share God's grace together. May we be found a people who turn away from the anxiety of the season and face full on the grace and peace that is ours to receive. Let us bow in prayer. Lord God, we ask very simply in this busy season that you would give us the wisdom to pause, to step away from the expectation that we should be always seeking, giving, striving for that perfect gift to give. But that we would pause, receive your grace, and experience that peace, hope, love, and joy that is your gift for us. Fill us, for we ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.